Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and of course this happens on the day that the crypto market is absolutely popping. Bitcoin above $103,000 this afternoon. XRP over $2.30. Hell, look at this. It's at $2.29 now with a 24-hour high of $2.32. We got the news from attorney James K. Filan here. The SEC has filed the settlement agreement letter. You'll love to, and it happened on the day that the crypto market just happened to be ripping here. You'll love to see it. It's the opposite of the saying, when it rains, it pours. It's the opposite of that. Here we go. And I actually first saw this news scrolling through my X feed. I actually saw what Attorney John Deaton had to say about this, which made me pretty happy. I mean, the degree to which he's impacted this entire process, impossible to overstate the importance of that. And so it was just neat to see. The first news I got of this, it came from Attorney Deaton, and he simply wrote, "It's over." So I'm going to share with you the specifics. Technically, there are some, I's to be dotted, T's to be crossed, but yeah, it's effectively the end. But before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And here is the official SEC website. It's right there. This is real stuff. This would not exist. This document here on the SEC website, it would not exist if we had a different outcome in the election in November. If you're in crypto and you're an XRP holder, I don't care what your politics are. At least we can agree that this is fantastic for us. This is incredible. XRP in the clear here. Here's Bloomberg covering this. Here's their headline. SEC seeks to settle legal fight with Ripple Labs for $50 million. And so you'll recall that although there was an agreement in principle, we were waiting on SEC commissioners to vote on this bad boy. And now we got the green light, and the document absolutely was filed today. And again, Attorney Filan shared that, and it's circulating heavily on social media. So check out, here's some of the specifics. Piece reads as follows. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission moved to settle a long-running legal battle against Ripple Labs, Inc. as the regulator continues its about-face on crypto cases. The SEC and the Blockchain Infrastructure Company will jointly ask a federal court in Manhattan to dissolve an injunction against Ripple and release more than $125 million in civil penalties in an escrow account, according to a settlement agreement filed Thursday. Of that, $50 million would go to the SEC, and the rest would be returned to Ripple, the SEC said. Okay, and I will pause to note here, there had been talks about this ultimately being paid in XRP. If that's going to be happen, I'll just note, at least at this time, there is no indication that's the case. But Brad Garlinghouse, he did publicly state that there are talks with the SEC about this fine potentially at least being paid in XRP, with the purpose of that being, and that would go to the Treasury, but the payment's supposed to go to the Treasury. The Treasury also, if there's a strategic crypto reserve for altcoins of any kind, they'd be overseeing that. That's the way that it's set up. So that would be kind of perfect if indeed this happens. But, we haven't gotten a final word on what that's going to look like, if it's actually going to really go through. But if it were to unfold that way, then yes, the United States government would be holding that amount of XRP. So we'll see. I don't pretend to know. Nobody knows at this point, publicly anyway. It's not available. Anyway, the SEC said its decision to seek an end to the case rests on its judgment that such resolution will facilitate the Commission's ongoing efforts to reform and renew its regulatory approach to the crypto industry, not on any assessment of the merits of the claims alleged in the action. And that is a quote. The Wall Street regulator sued Ripple Labs in December 2020, alleging the firm broke securities laws by selling its digital token without registering it as a security. The agency had sought almost $2 billion in penalties, but the court found that its XRP token was covered by securities laws only when sold to institutional investors, a ruling hailed as a victory in the crypto industry. And of course, folks, that's not true. Everyone in media seems to screw this up. It's not specifically that institutional sales in and of themselves are fine. It's about specific transactions that the SEC cited, and then there was an injunction to stop similar such. But this idea that it was an order specifically for XRP sales and exchanges and specifically for institutional sales, just to be clear, that's not the case. It's all about Ripple's sales programmatically, which means on exchanges, or institutionally, which is what they're citing here. But it's only for Ripple, just to be clear here. Anyway, in August, a judge ordered Ripple to pay $125 million, a fraction of what the SEC originally sought. SEC Commissioner Caroline Crenshaw dissented from the settlement offer, saying it undermined the court. Yeah, of course, while she voted to bring the lawsuit against Ripple, attacking all of us XRP holders. So suck it, Crenshaw. I have a veritable cornucopia of eggplant emojis just for you. Here's a quote from her. This settlement, alongside the programmatic disassembly of the SEC's crypto enforcement program, does a tremendous disservice to the investing public and undermines the court's role in interpreting our securities laws. End quote. Folks, do you feel that you've been undermined, all of you, my fellow XRP holders? Did you just get undermined by this SEC decision right here? Or is this just another Democrat commissioner who is irrationally anti-crypto and wants to destroy our opportunity for life-changing wealth? Maybe it's that one. I'm thinking it might be that one. The SEC has dismissed or paused several other legal cases and investigations targeting crypto companies since President Donald Trump took office and pledged to end crypto regulation by enforcement. Dropped cases include high-profile lawsuits against exchanges Coinbase and Binance, yada, yada, yada. And then they go on to cite that Brad Garlinghouse said that they'd spent $150 million in legal fees, which means with that $50 million on top, they're over the $200 million mark. I ain't no math wizard, but I'm pretty sure that's how that adds up. Freaking crazy, right? So here's what Eleanor Terrett had to say about this. The SEC has announced a settlement with Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, and Chris Larson. The parties have agreed that Ripple will pay $50 million of the original $125 penalty, with the rest being returned to them. Both sides will drop appeals if the court agrees to lift the injunction placed on Ripple. Here's another post from attorney John Deaton. He wrote, "It would be absolutely shocking for Judge Torres to not agree to lift the injunction under these circumstances. I don't want to jinx anything, but the below agreement makes perfect sense, and it's difficult to see it not going through." Okay, so technically we could have a hiccup, but I haven't found any attorney that's, at least to this point, publicly talked about it on social media. And this is a new development, so it could happen. But I haven't found, to this point, any attorney with concerns that, oh, this probably won't go through. I haven't seen anything even close to that. Here's a post from attorney Bill Morgan of the XRP community. He says, "Finally, the start of the final move in the SEC v. Ripple saga. Thank you, James, for an excellent summary." Here's a post from attorney Fred Rispoli of the XRP community. It says, "I'm not always right, although I can't say I wouldn't lose the debate if someone took the opposite position. But when it comes to law and legal strategy, I usually am." And he shared his post from March 25th, saying how he thought things would shake out and that this would all be sewed up inside of 60 days effectively. For the sake of time, I won't read it, but it is on your screen right here. And it's nice to see it has played out like that. So credit where it's due, of course. Here's what attorney James K. Filan had to say would be the next steps. It says, Judge Torres needs to provide an indicative ruling as to whether the court would, number one, dissolve the injunction and release the escrow with $50 million going to the SEC and the balance back to Ripple. Number two, if Judge Torres provides the indicative ruling, the SEC and Ripple will ask the Second Circuit for a limited remand back to Judge Torres to ask for the relief described above. Number three, upon the granting of the remand, the SEC and Ripple will file a motion with Judge Torres asking for the relief described above. 4, after the injunction is dissolved and the funds distributed, the SEC and Ripple will ask the Court of Appeals to dismiss the SEC's appeal and Ripple's cross appeal. Then it will be over. So basically the beginning of the end. I mean, it's effectively over. So like we all understand that and we agree on that. So some procedural stuff that has to happen. It's probably going to play out that way. That's what I've seen from attorneys that are talking about. There aren't concerns about this. Now, it is interesting to see that on a day where XRP has just been ripping to the upside along with the rest of the crypto market, I could not tell that, like upon this news breaking, I could not tell that an additional surge for XRP was occurring. It was just moving up as the rest of crypto is moving up. Now Bitcoin's like a hair below 103,000, but it moved like, I mean, if you look at this chart, I mean, it's very similar to what's happening with XRP here. So I don't think that anybody cares about this, about the news. I mean, the markets, like, I find it interesting. Maybe you find it interesting, but, because we've really been through something here over the last several years. And so all this stuff, it's highly consequential and interesting to me anyway. But the markets here on a global scale, they're not like pumping because of the news. Plus, on top of that, as I've cited many times, this was already the expected outcome. So if anything, maybe it would have been a sell the news event, but this is an exciting day. So at least at the time I'm recording this, everything's looking pretty damn good. I mean, you got a 24-hour low price for XRP of $2.12. So to go from $2.12 to $2.32, that's a good day, especially when the whole market's pumping. You just love to see it. So I'll keep you apprised of developments as they occur, but that's where we're at, folks. We have absolutely won. What a frickin' journey. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.